Hello everybody, and welcome to my second video on your soul contract. And I thought I would start in the opposite direction as I normally do, because it is February the 23rd today and this is a new moon, which is about new beginnings, new starts. So I thought I would throw caution to the wind and start with my oracle card for guidance and inspiration. As I want to talk today about non-attachment to the outcome. My goodness, this has been an extraordinarily tough concept for me to get my head round, and that was half the problem, because I was trying to get my head round it and not feel into it with my heart. So I used the Oracle deck, The Secret Language of Light, Transmissions from Your Soul by Denise Jarvie. And the card I brought out was 35 light beings, which seems very apt for me. And this is what it said, bearing in mind the theme for this video is non-attachment to the outcome. This image depicts a light being. The term light being is used to describe a range of ethereal forms, including guides and angels. They observe your life from a higher perspective, so they can see the most auspicious path for you to create your dreams and desires. Sometimes your light beings may seem to take you down a path fraught with difficulty. However, everything happens for a reason. Just as we know a baby will eventually walk, you will also find your footing and attain your dreams. Your light beings are not here to save you, for that would interfere with your ability to create unique paths and conclusions. They are the keepers of the faith that hold and stream your past, present, and future dreams and desires to your heart. Only you can decide what to do with that information. You can't get it wrong, for your light beings will just show you another way. Amazing. So, non-attachment to the outcome. I was first introduced to this concept by the principal and one of my mentors, Paul Huffam, who was the principal of the College of Traditional Acupuncture in Warwick back in 2007. And as part of my degree in traditional acupuncture, we were introduced to the concepts of Taoism, which underpins traditional acupuncture. And I remember the day that he said, let's talk about non-attachment to the outcome. Bearing in mind, I'd just retired from 24 years in the Royal Air Force. And believe me, if ever there was an environment that was very attached to every outcome, that was it. So this was a new concept for me. And I thought, okay, let's just hear him out. And then he started to say, non-attachment to the outcome. You can have your vision, you can have your dream, you can plan and make decisions to create that or bring that dream into reality. And at that moment of realization, of materialization, you cut the cord. You detach all attachment from that dream, that desire, and you hand it over to the universe, your higher self, source energy, whatever you wish to call it. And you allow that infinite wisdom to guide you and the outcome of whatever it is that you dream and desire. And I sat and thought about that, and it sounded utterly preposterous. Utterly preposterous. How can you invest all that effort? How can you see where it is that you want to go? How can you see what you want so clearly? And then after a certain amount of effort and energy invested in getting it, you then sort of wash your hands of it, cut the cord, and then just watch it float away like a balloon heading for space. That seemed not just abandonment, dereliction of duty, but total and utter abdication of responsibility for my life. And my head exploded at that moment. I really could not understand why that would be such a key element of being an effective practitioner of traditional acupuncture. And it's not just about being a practitioner, it's about walking your path to mastery. That non-attachment is an extraordinary concept. And we first have to consider other things, other philosophies that help us to get to that place of surrender. And the first one really is that we believe in something bigger than us. Our higher self, source, energy, universal consciousness exists, as I said in my first video, beyond space and time. If you think about it as your higher self, it is everything that you have ever been, are being now, and will be in the future. And that's just on the personality aspect side of it. But it is a fractal, a hologram of everything that has ever been, is now, and will ever be infinitely. So when we rather hilariously think we are in control of our lives as this little human aspect, this personality aspect, we miss the point that actually we are being guided by some greater wisdom, born about from vast eons of experience, not just of the individual, but of the collective. And so when we want to bring something about as a human, and we're very tightly attached to that outcome, and it has to be this way, we are somehow limiting ourselves to that outcome. We're only able to apply the human abilities to it. And that brings us very much onto the world of the third dimension. So if we want to bring something about to realization, to reality, might it be better if we made space at some time in that process of creation to allow that higher, infinitely wise and experienced aspect of us, the soul self, the higher self, what you will, to actually have a hand in what comes to pass? And linked in with that philosophy, that idea, is that when we hand over to our higher self, what happens is only ever in accordance with our highest good. We know at a soul level why we came here to Earth, incarnating as a human at this time. We know what we want to achieve. We know how we want our soul to grow for the individual and the collective. Would we not rather let our higher self in at some stage, prompting us, guiding us, nudging us, offering us signs, symbols and synchronicities that would then ensure that whatever it was in accordance with our highest good would indeed come to pass? Or would we rather continue as a human in a limited capacity, bringing about something that only our human imagination, our human skill sets could actually achieve? That might be well enough in the moment, but it might be very much less than what we could have brought to pass, what we could have created with our higher self and higher consciousness. So I describe it very much using an analogy from the lovely Melissa Jolly of Colour Mirrors, where she said, you're planning to go out for a meal in a restaurant. It's a very fancy restaurant, and you have to book 3 weeks in advance to get a table. And you book your table, and then you look online at the menus, you know exactly what you're going to have. You can't wait to get there. The day comes, you're all excited, you put on your glad rags, you put your slap on your face, and off you go. And you sit down at the table, you're so excited for all of this. The waiter comes and takes your order, and then you have choice. The human self, the one that wants to control every experience to within an inch of its life to make sure it's utterly perfect as a human, would then have to get up from the table, walk into the kitchen, and supervise the chef as he cooked the meal. Because there would be no trust and faith in some higher order that would know how to bring it back to us in its most exquisitely perfect state. The fifth dimensional aspect of ourselves, our soul self, knows exactly that whatever comes to pass will be perfect. Within any experience, there will be an opportunity for our soul growth and expansion. And I know that every one of us will have had a different experience of that very moment, where you've ordered a rare steak. I rarely eat steak. It's probably once a year, and I will only eat it at a restaurant because I can't cook steak at home. I ruin it. So I'm really looking forward to my one steak a year, and then it comes out and it's overdone. What do? I'm being so excited about that steak, and I look at it and I go, I don't want to eat that. So do I throw a strop? Do I get out and go into the kitchen and give the chef what for? Do I accept with good grace that actually what's come out is for my highest good? Do I have a little check-in with myself and say, no, I think having ordered medium rare, I would like to have a medium rare steak. So I would ask the waiter and be very respectful and say, if it was at all possible, would chef do me another one? And then I would leave it up to the establishment to decide what best to do. Do they say, sorry, you'll have to eat it, or lump it, in which case I probably would just eat it and decide not to go back there ever again? Or would they resonate with the frequency of my reasonableness, my desire, my boundary setting? Perhaps because I have gone with the highest intention, that they would come into tune with that and allow chef to make me another or cook me another steak. So there's a number of different outcomes that could happen, and I wasn't really attached to any of them. I was going to be okay with whatever happened. In that moment, I stood in my truth, and using the right energy of collaboration, respect and kindness, I allowed for my truth to be fulfilled in that moment. But I didn't get into a strop. I wasn't angry. I just created the opportunity for that to come to pass. And it did, as it happened. I did get my steak, and it was cooked to perfection, and I enjoyed it greatly. So, an attachment to the outcome. How far do we have to take our desire and our dream, keeping it on track because we feel in our heart that's exactly what we want to do. We feel it is in alignment with our highest good and our soul truth. So we invest energy, time and emotion into creating this vision and bringing it to reality. And then at one stage we say, okay, I've done everything that I can to bring this to pass. I'm now going to cut the cord tying me to the balloon of this marvelous desire and dream. And I'm handing over to my higher self. And I'm going to allow for that dream to materialize in whatever way it was meant to, whatever way it needs to be, to give me the soul growth that I'm so excited to achieve in this incarnation, and to give me the opportunities to learn and to achieve mastery. So I'm very comfortable now, after that initially very traumatic afternoon at the College of Traditional Acupuncture in 2007. I'm very comfortable with the concept now of taking things to a certain stage and then letting them go, and trusting that my angels and my guides have my back. And if I've been barking up the wrong tree and I've been forcing something that was never going to be the most appropriate outcome for where I am in life at this time, then I will allow for the universe gently and compassionately to take that dream and drop it quietly, probably off the end of a pier. It's very much like the dream I have about winning the lottery. I have that dream frequently. I'm paying off everybody's mortgages. I'm setting up my nieces and nephews with the most fabulous lives so they don't have to suffer. I'm rescuing donkeys and dogs all around the world. I've never won the lottery, not more than a tenner and not more than 50 quid since the ratted thing started all those years ago. I used to get really cross and frustrated because I want to do good with that money. And now I just accept it's not my path. And why would I be resistant to something that isn't my path, that isn't my real soul truth? I'm just wasting energy and time. And there's so much more fun to be had if I align myself with visions that are meant to be, that are in alignment with the big plan, the soul contract that I wrote all those eons ago. So it's a real liberating concept. It's quite a fun one to play with. Better to keep a sense of humour as you experiment with it, because otherwise it can be very frustrating. But actually it's very liberating when we surrender to our higher self, our higher wisdom. We feel safe, we feel on path, on track. And that just fills me with excitement and joy. I'd rather spend the next X years on this planet full of excitement and joy and a feeling I'm on the right track because the visions I am holding are coming to pass, are coming into some sort of manifested state, and also allowing for the ones that never quite make it off the drawing board to let them go with grace and ease, and laughing and thinking, okay, not this lifetime, that's okay. So that's my offering this time. Non-attachment to the outcome. I hope that brings you some peace, some joy. I wish you well. Many of you have already mastered that and are just nodding sagely with me and saying, yeah, been through that, know how to do it now, tick. But if it's a new concept to some people viewing this, then have a play. And I wish you all the best with that. So on this sunny afternoon, the day of the new moon, February 23rd, 2020, I wish you a most glorious day and see you next time. Blessed be.